Hello, everybody, and welcome to Short Pit, a NASCAR podcast. I'm your host, Kaleb and Chris. Alongside me, as usual, my co-host, Chris. Chris, how are you on this fine Tuesday?
I'm good. I'm good. How about yourself, sir?
Just peachy, and as usual, our two pals, Cam and BR, are here after a Las Vegas race, another Wood Brothers win. They didn't have to wait so long for win 101 as they did for win 100. We'll get into that a little bit. We'll get into the Homestead coming up, give our driver award, our terrorist of the week award, and we'll see what happens in between. But without further ado, yeah, let's just dive right into it. Las Vegas, the Pennzoil 400, Josh Berry, your winner, leading 18 laps, finishing eighth in first and second stage. Driver rating of 124.2. Just overall, a really good day for that Wood Brothers 21. Cam, I'll kick it to you. Las Vegas, how do you grade it? What do you feel?
I mean, it's just a typical what we've kind of come to expect from this car on these intermediate ovals. Just a really good race, some comers and goers, some good racing. Some people coming from up the pack, back the pack. It was a really good race, and we saw a lot of speed from some cars that maybe we weren't expecting throughout the race. Not just Josh Berry, but some others as well. So I really enjoyed it.
BR, what's your takeaway from Las Vegas just 2 days later?
Uh, we might have underestimated what Josh Berry could do in the 21 car. This is far from the first time this season where he's just had an overall solid performance the whole time. So that's my main takeaway here. As for the race itself, I echo Cam. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun watching it.
Yeah, Josh Berry coming off. He's got a streak going now of 2 straight top fives. He led 56 laps at Atlanta before getting involved in an accident. But yeah, good stretch for Josh Berry in the 21 car. Seems like a really good fit. Chris and I touched upon that in the preseason. But Chris, the Pennzoil 400 as a whole, what's your vibe?
Yeah, I liked it. Good race. I mean, Cam said it. Comers, goers. I mean, a lot of what we expect with this car on those types of tracks. So it was. I don't think I was expecting to see the multitude of cautions, but again, we'll get into that. Still a good race overall. I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, and we're just going to dive right into the multitude of cautions. Obviously, the big story a lot this year has been tire. How can we get it softer? Well, they were just kind of flying off the cars this weekend, taking out a lot of great guys like Kyle Busch, etc. Chris, what do you give us? Give us the rundown on that situation. Your thoughts? What
Yeah,
kind of happened?
yeah. I mean, we've had this single lug system on these cars since they came in, into the series in 22, right? Um, Even with the penalties that are inflicted, I mean, it still happens. I'm not an engineer, so I couldn't really, obviously say they lead us to believe on the TV broadcast, but showing, the lock pins or the issue where when the car hits the ground, that if the tire's not fully locked up, that's the problem. But you think maybe they'd have some sort of maybe I don't know communication or something they could do come up with to keep this from happening. These teams were the ones who shorted pits with a 5 lug system by leaving 1 lug off during the race. So I mean, there's definitely some smart people on these teams. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely something that it occasionally pops up. It's not like a common thing, at least to me. Maybe others have a different opinion, but you don't see it come up as much like it did this past week so often. It might be 1 or 2 drivers here and there, but it just seemed like everybody couldn't get the tires on.
No, for sure. There were messy pit stops throughout. I mean, obviously, you saw Christopher Bell dive into Chase Briscoe's box and get that tightened up for what would have been a 2-lap penalty had that tire wheel come off. BR, I'll kick it right to you. What's kind of your thoughts on that
Yeah,
whole ordeal?
I mean, it was really strange. I agree with Chris. Like it's not that it's never happened before, but this I've never seen like so many in one race because you had Bush, you had Briscoe too, I believe, and then you had Bell who was about to it if Adam Stevens didn't have a master class. He saved the day right there, coming up with a just go pit right there. That was great thinking by him, but I digress. It wasn't just that they fell off. it felt like there was a lot more flat tires than there normally is. I don't know if it was just me. I felt like we just got more just straight up flat tires and tires going boom on top of them just falling off. So it was really, really strange for sure.
Cam, I leave it to you.
I mean, in general, I feel like it's a self-correcting problem for the teams in terms of it coming off. Because like you notice a lot of times when they show someone coming off, they'll show the replay of the pit stop, and there's a crew member like losing his mind because he's like, "Oh, it's loose," and it's like, "Well, take the extra quarter of a second to tighten it." Like, yeah, you might lose a spot or two, maybe three, but it's better than the alternative. In terms of like the tires blowing out, I feel like it's kind of been a problem on these intermediate mile and a half tracks really since this car's inception. If you remember, like in 2022, the left front was blowing off at every intermediate, like after like 30 laps every single week. So I don't know. It seems it can be a kind of a camber problem at these intermediate tracks that I don't know. I didn't think it was that egregious this week in particular, but it wouldn't be the first time that has been a problem on these tracks with this car because of the low profile nature of the tire. It's so thin.
And maybe this is just me trying to watch the driver cam and the TV footage at the same time, but I felt like it was a very messy day on pit road. I feel like there was a lot of guys stopping, going, gotta go back, collisions.
I think there's like 6 people who sped too on top of all the tire things.
10 speeding penalties actually. I looked it up. I was curious.
It was more not. I thought I was being a little bit overestimated at 6, but.
Yeah, 10 speeding penalties on pit road total. You had a couple of repeats with like Kyle Busch, I think, but ultimately, yeah, it was just ugly pit road. I can agree with you on that.
And it's a normal track too. It's not like it's some weird tight pit road like Martinsville or Phoenix or something. It's an intermediate track pit road. It's the most basic pit road in the world.
But we continue to move on. BR, I'll let you tackle the next topic. I'll let you pick it, actually. Do you want to talk about the struggles of JGR this season, or do you want to talk about how bad Harrison Burton actually is?
I guess we'll do Joe Gibbs since, it's more relevant than Burton, I guess.
Go ahead. Go for it.
Yeah. I mean, the cars
actually, let me set it up. Let me set it up for you a little better. Joe Gibbs Racing has had quite the start to the year. Obviously, they have 3 wins, but they're all from Christopher Bell, who seems to be having that breakout season we discussed last week. But you look at a driver like Denny Hamlin, he's got 1 top 5 on the year so far, and it was at Phoenix. So good for him. But only 2 top 20s the rest of the way. Let's look at I got to pull up these way better ahead of time. But Chase Briscoe in the 19 has 1 top 10 on the year. And then who's the
Ty Gibbs doesn't.
Ty Gibbs, who sucks. Yeah. So BR, what's the deal here? Is it Toyota? Is it Joe Gibbs? What's the deal?
I'm not sure it's Toyota because like 2311's having a decent start to the year. Bubba's had a few good weeks. Reddick's been fast. And even Legacy, too, for their standards, I felt have had a pretty solid start to the season, especially Eric Jones. I really feel it's a Gibbs-specific issue here. Gibbs being Ty Gibbs, I guess, but the whole team more so. It's really, I mean, when's the last time for Cam and Chris, who watched it longer than me, what is the last time one of like the top 2 or 3 teams have just been straight up terrible?
I mean, Chris, I'm sorry to bring up memories, but there was a time about 5-6 years ago where people were starting to wonder if Hendrick was even trying.
Yeah, Hendrick. That was a couple years ago. It was like, you could probably correct me on this, Cam, but when we had the big 3, right? Harvick, Truex, Kyle,
It's like 8 years ago, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, it's been a little bit.
Yeah, Hendrick was one of the wildest things I ever saw in my life. They went from being the dominant team, Jimmy Johnson had won 5 championships or 7 championships in like a 12-year span, and then all of a sudden Chase Elliott winning on a road course as a rookie was like, oh God, they won a race. So
yeah, Chase didn't win for like 4 years.
I know,
so
but I'm saying when he popped out and did win, it was like, oh
Yeah.
wow,
this is amazing. Yeah, I remember.
As I'm saying, I don't want to dig out old memories, but
Unfortunately, I do remember.
Fair
but
enough.
yeah, no, it happens every once in a while. But yeah,
Yeah, at least in my time, which is much shorter than Chris and Cam, I have not seen one of the big three teams just be straight up bad. And Hamlin, to an extent, I feel like has been slightly unlucky this year. But
I guess he's unlucky. He won like $100,000 at the casino this weekend.
Well, I mean, I guess it's got to even out somehow, I guess.
Yeah, no, right.
Yeah, but Briscoe has been mediocre and Gibbs has been horrific. It feels like a Joe Gibbs specific issue. What that specific issue is, I'm not smart enough to know. I'm not smart enough, not enough in the know to figure that one out. But I feel it's more Joe Gibbs specific than Toyota as a whole, because the other Toyota teams seem to be doing all right so far.
Cam, what do you make of it?
I mean, I think there's probably something to do with Toyota not. And he's right. BR is right that 2311 has outperformed Gibbs on or JGR on a race basis. But even from 2311, like when you've seen Reddit kind of like run really well, it's on a track where you're like, yeah, you expect him to do that. Bubba was fast, Sunday, but it's like it felt like as soon as the tires got up to temperature, he kind of fell back. So I don't know. Obviously Gibbs are having more of a problem than Legacy or 2311 are, but I don't know. It's interesting. Ty Gibbs, I feel like, is a whole different story, but I think people had a little bit more expectation for Briscoe and Hamlin than they've had. Well, maybe not us, because Chris and I said he wouldn't win, but but in general, though, I don't know. I this sometimes happens. I feel like at the beginning of seasons. I mean, Penske's done it for 3 years, been non-existent for 7 months, and then appears all of a sudden. So I wouldn't panic quite yet if I was, had a vested interest in it, but it's definitely concerning. And I think once we get to these more shorter tracks like Martinsville and Richmond, where they've typically been very good and they're really bad, then maybe we can circle back to this.
All right, Chris, left you for last. What do you make of this?
Yeah, I mean, Cam kind of touched on it a little bit. I personally expected to see more out of at least the 19 car this year. I mean, I don't know if it was just Chase Briscoe coming over, new face, new seat, in that, because Truex he was on the way out. I think he had one foot out the door. He was ready to retire. Maybe some thought, but I thought they would do better. But he's had his ass kicked just by Lady Luck since leaving Daytona. Right, that's his only top 10 finish. He's been in bad places at the right time, and then Denny hasn't been horrible, but again, he's not been the Denny that everybody wants to see, or at least his fans expect to see. Not sure. I mean, I think if I had to pick something, I'd probably lean with like BR. Maybe it's something inside the house, but if I feel like it was that, I don't know that Bell would be as dominant as he is. Maybe it's just something going on with these guys. Could just be a slow start, because again, I kind of put here in my notes, I think you should see things turn around, at least maybe for the 11 and 19, because you do have the short tracks coming up. Those two drivers are really good at short tracks, so that can help them. As for the 54, yeah, we talked about that last week. I'm not sure. I don't know what to do for Ty Gibbs. Poor guy.
No, there's definitely something to there being a lot of new in that organization, just without the 20 team. The 20 team is what it is, and they've kicked ass. But Denny Hamlin's got the new crew chief. So does Ty Gibbs, who might be having like a internal conflict, like an identity crisis. And Chase Briscoe obviously moving over to the 19. That's a new driver. That's a huge change up. So there's certainly a level to that as well. We'll see how that changes up. Like I said, got a couple of tracks that they're really good at coming up with Martinsville, Richmond, Bristol, Homestead.
I'll say in general, just because of the history of the team, if we get to Richmond and they're bad, then hit the big red button, because that's been Toyota's playground for years at this point. Like if you've got Hamlin running bad at Richmond, you have Briscoe and Gibbs running in the back, then you got to hit the big red button.
I mean, you even saw though, but I think Vegas was a one-off, and you even saw Bell struggle at some points. He didn't seem to come back through the field like some of the stronger cars. A lot of times he was kind of back there. Like he still worked his way up compared to his teammates, obviously. But even then you could see it. Just maybe it was something with those cars last week. They just didn't seem on top of it as usual.
It'll be interesting next week because they're an intermediate track, but Homestead is so much a driver's track that you would expect Hamlin and Bell to run well. And if they don't, maybe that's another alarm sound. We'll see.
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. When the hell did it? Did they move Richmond?
Maybe they moved it and I forgot.
Yeah, they may have moved Richmond for Miami.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't put it back in the playoffs. I know that.
Richmond is.
Well, I would hope they wouldn't put it back in the playoffs, but
dear God, August 16th.
Wait, it's down to hold on. It's down to 1 day.
1 day, yeah. I totally forgot about that.
Oh yeah, that's the race that gave away for Mexico. I forgot. Okay, disregard what I said then. Bristol is probably your barometer now.
Yeah.
Barometer now.
So Joe Gibbs Racing has a month before a short pit is gonna really get on their ass. Okay.
I completely forgot that happened.
Yeah.
I'm
scrolling through. I'm like, what? Not even in May?
I've been so used to Richmond in the first half of the season for so long. I feel like.
I mean, I'm not mad. It's a snoozer, but like.
No, we got Homestead, Martinsville, Darlington, and Bristol coming up. So, like you said, there should be some good improvements out of at least Denny and Chase. We'll see what happens with
Gibbs. That's just the line of tracks that Denny's historically been great on. So,
all right, Cam, I'll let you start off with this one. How bad was Harrison Burton? To the point where we're watching that 21 car doing what it's doing so far this year.
It's incredible. It's hard to even really wrap your head around because I saw Auto Racing Analytics, shout out to that Twitter account, post after the race thing, where it's like if all the laps in the race had gone green, who would be the fastest cars? And I forget who was first, but the 21 was second, and they were the only two on the lead lap. Like that's how fast that car was all day in terms of like median lap speed. Harrison Burton never challenged for a non-plate win one time in his 109 starts, I think it was in that car. Yeah. And it's like Josh Berry, I think the world of him as a driver, but the gulf should not be that wide. I mean, like, it's insane. It's hard to even put into words because before he got wrecked, he might have had a top 5 in Atlanta. Also, you could have 3 going into already. So. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, building off of what you said, Cam, 109 starts. 109 starts and only 2 top 5 finishes. I looked it up earlier today just because I was curious. Like 2 top 5 finishes, one of those being his win at Daytona, I believe. If I'm wrong, you could it's crazy.
I'm staring at the driver averages. I'm only seeing 1 top 5.
He's got 2.
Yeah.
He's got 2.
Oh, there it is. Indy Road Course.
Yeah, which if any of you remember that race, that was not on speed.
No, that was pure luck.
That was literally a demolition derby.
Yeah, yeah.
So BR, I'll let you have that. You want to rip on Harrison Burton for a couple of minutes?
I mean, they've already said everything I was going to say.
That's good.
Here, I'll add on it a little bit too because I did.
Go.
We're gonna rip on the kid for a minute. 3 full-time seasons, never finished his season in the Cup Series with a better finishing average than 22nd.
Honestly, he got to 22nd once.
That was like he cracked the top 25.
Wait, like he went a whole season with an average finish of 22.
Yeah,
what year
it was his last one, the last one, and it was a little over 22. So I gave him a little bit. It was like 22.4.
I mean, I guess a first place finish will do something for you in an average, but damn.
I like Harrison Burton. I've watched him for because I watched some of the Truck Series and stuff, right? I don't follow it religiously, but he had struggles in the Truck Series. Like there were always talks about like the heavier car, maybe he's just not fit for this heavier truck. And then he goes to the Xfinity Series And I think his stats were kind of blown out of performance there. He had 4 wins in 2020 and never touched victory lane again after.
Yeah, he won the 4. You got those 4 wins, and they went sold. I don't know.
That's
I don't
it.
know.
I mean, it's crazy to me. Like, why? Unless like the Wood brothers were just looking because he did come in with the next gen car. They were like, well, we'll give him the chance to learn the car like everybody else. Maybe that was the thought.
Well,
but I mean,
I know the reason. It's because they're going to that new car and everything. They keep talking about everything's expensive, and he brought all that
Yep.
sponsorship. That's why they were looking for a reason to get rid of him for years. I think when Josh Berry got on the market, they were like, "Wait, you really will? You'll come to our team? Really?
you come race for us?
Really?"
Yeah, they did that one meme where they were like, like they're just pointing at themselves like,
Wait, we can compete again? Wow.
I know, right?
Harrison
They only
Burton.
had to wait. How many races was there between Daytona last year and what just happened? They didn't have to wait very long.
Should be there's 10 playoff races. Or wait, no, that wasn't
11
the
plus
no,
3.
Yeah.
because Daytona wasn't the cutoff last year. Darlington was.
Oh,
'cause
that's
the
right.
Olympics.
The Olympics.
So
yeah,
I believe it's 11 and then 16, 15.
16-ish, 15, 16
Yeah.
races.
Yeah.
They only had to wait for win
I mean,
101.
Harrison Burton made Matt DiBenedetto look like Jimmy Johnson, and everybody wanted Matt DiBenedetto's head on a pike. So
No, it's very good. Josh Berry, I've always liked him. I thought in that 4 car, he kind of walked through a dumpster fire, made the most of it, and he's reaping the benefits of that as well with this win. So shout out to him. Shout out to Wood Brothers. Everybody likes to see the Wood Brothers win. It kind of seems like everybody's pretty happy with that when that happens. Outside of when it's Harrison Burton stealing a spot from Kyle Busch, but
you called that, so you were happy.
no, I was, yeah. Alrighty, friends. So that was Las Vegas. Any final thoughts before we move on to our Driver of the Week award, our Terrace of the Week award?
Nah. I mean, it was Vegas. It was the spring Vegas race. It left a little to be desired.
Best spring Vegas race I've seen in years, though.
That's true. It was the best, but it still left
Yeah.
a little to be desired. Just a little.
Yeah, maybe. I think the winner helped out.
No,
Yeah,
for
probably.
sure. If it was Daniel Suarez that won as he was in second place, I'd have probably lost my shit. All right. So let's go ahead and start with our Driver of the Week award. BR, I'm going to kick it off with you.
I mean, I kind of have to say Josh Berry. I mean, with after what he did, top 10 each stage, was able to get the win, was one of the 2 fastest cars all day, according to what Cam said. I mean, I have a hard time picking anyone other than him.
Chris?
I would go with Josh Berry normally, but I actually was looking over things, like I said earlier. I'm going to go with Suarez. The dude hasn't finished in the top 10 all year. I mean, so on an intermediate track to come in and finish second, I'm a little impressed with it. I'm just going to give it to him this time. It probably will be the last time unless he just magically dominates a race between now and the end of the season. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Suarez this week.
Chris may have potentially robbed Josh Berry of a unanimous Driver of the Week award. We'll see. Cam?
Well, comment on Suarez real quick. Trackhouse for some reason is really good here. He was top 5 here when Chastain won the last time, in the fall. But since we've already broken the unanimous, I'll take the time to shout out the 60 car. Right, Ryan Preece was hanging around all day. Ended up in 3rd, and I know I'm gonna ad lib the Harrison Burton question we always ask on the show. And how bad was Stewart Haas racing last year? Because Josh Berry won this race. Ryan Preece in the 3rd Roush car was 3rd. Chase Briscoe, of course, has had his struggles, but he's shown speed. Like a lot of his problems this year has been lady luck, and Gregson has run really well for being in a front row car. So, how bad was Stewart Haas racing last year? But
Just pulling up Ryan Preece's stats in the 3rd round.
Because intermediate tracks are not exactly Ryan Preece's forte either.
No, yeah.
No.
Ryan Preece has a P3, P15 last week, led 34 laps. Led 6 laps at Daytona before flipping again, and a P18 in Atlanta. So the only finish where he's outside of the top 20 and he didn't wreck was Coda. So
Yeah, the 6th Ryan Preece was my backup there. So
he was mine too. I won't lie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the answer is Barry, but we're just shouting other folks out.
no, right.
Yeah, I would have said Barry if I would have said Priest if I didn't get chosen first and Barry was available.
If you don't got
I'll put
anybody,
in
you can
Kyle
just
Larson. I thought he after Blaney was tragically destroyed. I thought he was the fastest car, and it looked like if strategy had just played out a different way, it was, I don't want to say the belt to ass that I thought it was going to be, but I thought Larson was going to take this one and run away with it. So I'll give it to him. And we will move to, I just realized I put all of our drivers of the week in the terrace of the week.
Thank you.
To fix that.
I'm surprised you didn't shout your boy out. He came from the back to the front for like a 5th straight week.
Believe me, I was going to do it, but I don't want to be that guy who just puts his favorite driver on every single list.
Buddies came from the tail to the top 10 in like 5 straight races, so he deserves it.
Yeah, he's got like a plus like 52 on positions gained through the year. It's something crazy. So yeah, for
back
sure.
there, something happens. He always seems to be back there, and then he finds his way back.
No, for sure. He had a terrible day on pit road. He had to back up like 2-3 times, and obviously on that, I think it was the restart to stage 2. He said he had the biggest vibration he's had in his life, and he had to like duck down amongst the chaos to get down to pit road, and he still carved out a P7. So I try not to be too biased with those. I'll save it for like when like, yeah, that is 100% the move. But now for our terrorists of the week. Chris, I'll start with you.
Yeah, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't see too many crazy things driver-wise this week. I'm sure Cam has some interesting thoughts on terrorist of the week, but my driver wasn't affected by it. So I'm going to go with an off-the-book one here, or low-hanging fruit, and just go with the single lug system. Just nothing worked this week on pit road. It was just horrible. So the single lug system is my terrorist of the week this week.
BR, I'm kicking it to you because I feel like you might have something similar.
Well, I changed my mind actually.
Oh, good.
I'm not saying this actually was specifically his fault, but I need to say James Small just because he's getting exposed. Martin Truex carried his sorry ass for multiple seasons. He is a bum. He needs to go. He ruined my favorite drivers last 2-3 full-time years. So even though it's not his fault that the tire changer didn't get it tight enough, I'm gonna blame him anyways. So James Small.
Tell him how you really feel, BR. Cam, going with you now.
I mean, I don't know if it's really one driver at fault for this, but like the terrorist is whatever voodoo is on the 12 car right now. Like, I don't know if there's anyone necessarily at fault for that incident. I mean, I really don't think anyone is specifically at fault. Even Blaney was like, was it my fault? I don't know. But like, he's had like at minimum a top 3 car at every race this whole season apart from Austin, and has literally nothing to show for it. Yeah, he got a 4th place finish in Atlanta. That's it. That's all he's got. Despite the fact you could argue he may have had the fastest car at 3 or 4 races this season. So yeah, whatever the hex that was put on him as the terrorist of the week.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Zane Smith for a uniquely me reason. I was watching the Alex Bowman in-car cam, and this dude was like a lap down and like fighting for his life while Bowman was trying to cut through the field for one of the final times, and he just would not let him go for anything. So Zane Smith, know your role, shut your mouth, and enjoy finishing. Where did you finish? Fucking 23rd. Yeah, good for you, dude. Zane Smith. Okay, Homestead, everybody. Obviously, this is the first time in a long time that this is not in the playoffs. I think all of us are kind of secretly hoping that they make those renovations necessary for them to maybe make a bid for it to come back to the championship race. But yeah, March in Homestead, Miami, Florida. I noticed that the TV's calling it Florida or Miami now. I'm like, no, that doesn't sound right. Pam, what is your expectations for this race? What are you looking for? Are you excited for it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect racetrack for a stock car. Like it survived every generation of car. It's just an incredible track that wears the tires out, multiple grooves. You know, your fence runners, your Larsons, your Reddicks can run up there. Your guys with really hooked up cars can run the bottom. And the weather's obviously always nice, so you never have to really worry about changing temperatures. It's always the same temperature the whole day pretty much. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's one of the best tracks we go to. I think it's better later in the year, but it's still a great racetrack.
Let's see the weather forecast for Homestead this week. It's still only Tuesday, so it could change on the drop of a dime, but Sunday is looking like a 5% chance of rain, 80 degrees. Should be solid as of now. No rain in the forecast until Tuesday, really. So hopefully that sticks. Chris, Homestead.
Yeah, Cam echoed a lot. Just looking over my notes, this is literally one of my favorite intermediate tracks up there with like Kansas. So I think it's going to be a really good race. It wears the tires. It's survived, kind of like Cam said, all the generations of cars. It's just a really great stock car track. I will be interested to see if the weather is a little bit different, because it is a little cooler compared to late in the year. Or it could be similar. I don't know. I'm not a weatherman either. But, that'll be something that I'm sure we'll hear on the broadcast, them talk about their practice and qualifying, weather impacts being earlier in the year. But, yeah, I'm excited for it. I like Homestead. I've always really liked Homestead.
BR, anything to add?
Not really. It's a great track. It should be a great race.
Like that mentality. But before we make our picks, first things first, we're going to go over to DraftKings, and we're going to run through these race props and what have you. The first matchup is one Denny Hamlin versus Ryan Blaney.
Hamlin's been good here, but there's nothing that leads me to believe that he's going to be faster than the 12 on speed. So,
yeah, I'm with Blaney on that one too.
I'll say Hamlin just because Blaney will get hit by a meteor. And
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
All right. Next, we got Carson Hocevar versus AJ Allmendinger.
This might surprise some people. Allmendinger.
He does have the second highest average finish of active Cup Series drivers. In 3 races,
he is really,
top 5, never
really
finished below
good
top
here.
10.
He is really good here.
Yeah, I was looking at it too, so I'm with AJ on that one. But Hocevar didn't do bad in his one start in a Cup Series.
I'm sure he'll be good. It's just Allmendinger is just weirdly really good here in that car.
P9 for Hocevar. But yeah, Allmendinger is on a stretch of 8, 5, and 3 in the last 3 years.
That's crazy.
Allmendinger was pretty good last week too. He
finished in top 10, did he not?
I believe so, like 8th if I recall correctly.
Stand by. Las Vegas. Recent race. Oh God, will you come on?
8th sounds right. I'll say that.
March 16, 2025. AJ Allmendinger finishes 8th. Very good.
And the thing is, he could have won. The one where he was 3rd, he could have won. He was like right there.
This is the first time the 21 car is the favorite in any matchup in a long time. Josh Berry versus Brad Keselowski.
How can you not pick Berry?
Yeah.
Where's the car been in any race the entire year?
Nowhere, non-existent. and I only know that because my power rankings.
Brad Keselowski, not great here the last couple years. P17 in the fall last year, P28 before that, but finished in the stages 2 and 5, and he had a top 5 in 2022. But yeah, not exactly a hot year for one Brad K. I'll take Barry as well. And then this is a heavyweight battle: Tyler Reddick versus Kyle Larson.
Jeez.
Ugh.
I'm still waiting on the Kyle Larson belt to ass show, and this could be it. I'll take Larson just for that.
I'll take Larson, but I mean it's the two best drivers in terms of what this track requires you to do. Like,
I'll go the other route since you guys already went Larson. I'll take Reddick.
I'll take Reddick too.
All right, Group A: Larson, Reddick, Blaney, Byron. I'll take Larson.
I'm gonna go with Reddick.
Blaney.
Reddick.
There you go. Group B: Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain. I'll take C-Bell.
I'm gonna take Bell. Yeah.
Wow, there's a list where Chris doesn't pick Chase Elliott. That's crazy.
It does happen occasionally.
Alrighty, friends. Let's get to the picks. I'll take Kyle Larson. Again, just waiting on that belt to ass race. And it's gotta come eventually. Chris, go with you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. If you just go off of like looking at previous wins here, of guys you could really go with, but I am actually, let's see here, who did I put down? Because I have short-term memory loss, you know. Probably the non. Yeah, we'll call it dad brain. That'll work. Now let's see. Yeah, I actually did. I went with the non, and only because I couldn't pick anybody, so I just went with my guy.
No, good.
So, I mean, honestly, just, you know, when you can't decide, I'm just going to go with the default choice there and go with my driver. So,
I unfortunately could never justify taking my guy here. He kind of sucks here.
He sucked at Phoenix too, and he showed you how, you know.
Yeah, no, right. Like this could just be the year where he's just notching top tens everywhere. Yeah. Speaking of that, just hit his 100th top 10 last week, so that's cool. BR, who are you picking?
Tyler Reddick. Excluding the fall race in 2022 where he wrecked. In his other 4 races at Homestead, he's finished first, third, second, and fourth. So for that reason, I'll take him.
Cam, it's all up to you.
I'm picking my driver, but like for actual statistical reasons. Like the last two times we were at Homestead, he probably should have won the race both times. It was either the last time when Reddick decided to be a half a second faster in the field on the last lap somehow on like dead tires, and then the time before that, another lap he probably catches to 20. So yeah, he's been so good here lately. Now, granted, it's later in the year, but I mean South Florida's weather doesn't really change much over the course of the year. So I'm taking him because maybe if I just take him, it'll release the heck because I haven't picked him yet.
I was gonna ask you, does he make it past the halfway point of the race, or before the meteor hits him?
Hey, look, see what I saw on Twitter post was he's gonna lead 266 of the 267 laps, and then the meteor's gonna hit.
I like it.
Ryan Blaney P2 last 2 times here. So.
He really he likes finishing P2 at a lot of places. It's quite rough.
Everybody remembers Kyle Larson going headfirst into the sand barrels a couple of years ago. Alrighty. So that is that. A relatively quick, short pit, which is what we like. We like to live up to that name. Did we miss anything?
Does chaos really ensue if Allmendinger comes out and steals a playoff spot this week?
I don't think so, because like pretend he did it at a road course. Would you cry?
Yeah, that's a solid point. It's early enough that I guess it wouldn't necessarily be a steal, would it?
Yeah, because I'm saying like if you wanted at Sonoma or Watkins Glen, would you be like, wow, he stole that? No. So
you could look at least the stats and be like, nah, dude's got like some sort of crazy love affair with Homestead. So this is normal. It was coming.
All right, Chris, what do we got coming this week?
New episode of the B&B show with my wife. Probably drop Thursday just because we have kids, you know. And then power rankings. I'm going to shoot for Wednesday, but you know how that normally goes.
Yeah,
And then, of
right.
course, we got our
right.
Yeah, I know, right? It might be Friday if we're lucky. Maybe Saturday before practice. But, you know.
Picks on Thursday or Friday, though.
Yeah.
I'll have 3 up, 3 down. Hopefully tomorrow. We'll see how motivated I am once we close this, wrap this show up. We'll see. Cam, BR, any words for the fine people at home?
Hi, Mom.
Very good. Very
it.
good. Alrighty, friends. Thank you for watching Short Pit. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you follow us on the Twitter and the Facebook. And yeah, there's that. Have a great night. We will see you all after Homestead.